Let me get cozy real quick. Hold on a sec. Okay, there we go. Hello and welcome to the 50th episode of Trying Times. I honestly can't believe I'm saying that right now. I've officially had that intro 50 times. Holy crap. So welcome. If you're new here, then this is so exciting and I really, really appreciate you tuning in and hope you enjoy. If you've listened before, then thank you so much for your time. I cannot even begin to describe how much I appreciate you listening. Whether, again, this is your second time listening or you've listened to every episode, I really, really appreciate it. For this episode, though, I want to talk about spooky season, aka fall, aka Halloween, and I guess whatever else you may want to call it. I'll start by saying that this is my favorite time of year and arguably one of the best times of the year. The weather isn't super cold or hot, and it's just so beautiful everywhere we go with leaves changing colors, and I feel like it just always feels nice. Like I'm always in a good mood during the fall because it's not, I don't know, there's just something about it that's so cozy, and I hate saying that word, but I love it. I know that I'll say that, and then I also will say that I know fall isn't everyone's favorite, and Halloween is definitely not everyone's favorite, but I genuinely love it because I think it's just such a fun time of year. In addition to being so beautiful, Halloween just makes this such a fun time of year, and it's really unmatched. So this whole episode is really just about my love for it. And there's a few things I'll get into, but the first thing I'll really, really get into talking about is Halloween. In my case, I know I just said I love Halloween, but in my case, I'm a scaredy cat. So I love all of the non-scary aspects of Halloween, which some might argue doesn't really count. But I love watching animated films this time of year or just generally really cute Halloween family movies because I feel like they're just fun. They're feel good. There's nothing super high stakes. Like I can't deal with the whole feeling of being on the edge of my seat throughout an entire movie. It makes me panic. It makes me so nervous and I just can't do it. When it comes to specifically there's very specific things that I will not watch. One of those will be hauntings. So obviously tapping into that whole spiritual realm of things, if you will, not for me. And then the other thing, I guess, kind of similar is like possession or anything else in those realms. It's just, I cannot do it. I can't sit down. I can't watch it. It's just way too much for me. I can't do it. And some people are super into that. And I think that's great, for you. I, on the other hand, can't touch that with like a 10-foot pole because I feel like it's just so unnerving and uneasy to watch. And I know, like, I wish so badly I could relate to the people that love sitting down and watching scary things because I think there's something there and there's something fun about it. But I, on the other hand, I just can't do it. And I don't know. I've tried. I can't do it. I get so uneasy. And I honestly can say I think like the last scary movie I watched in theaters was probably over 5 years ago. And the film itself really wasn't that scary, but it was still on the horror side of things. So that whole aspect of sitting in a theater during those quieter and suspenseful or suspense building moments in a film and being on the edge of your seat, like I said earlier, that is not my thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure the movie was called Ouija. And it was based on like a Ouija board and these kids that basically, not kids, I think they were like teenagers or young adults, but it was this group of people that basically started like messing around with it. And they tapped into some obviously not pretty and fluffy and bright things. And so it was one of those movies where like the whole time I was just on the edge of my seat. There were so many quintessential, I'll add, quiet pauses where you just had to sit there in silence and it built a lot of suspense and you could usually tell what was going to happen next or why they were doing it. But for me, like I just couldn't deal. It was like a nightmare. I was like, I'm paying to sit here for nearly 2 hours to basically have a panic attack. It just felt not great. And again, like I'll add, it was not one of the scarier movies out there. Like a lot of people were like, oh, it's such an easy watch. Again, horror fanatics were very much like, this is such an easy watch. For me, the easiest of watches are so hard. Like I just cannot do it. So yeah, it's just not for me. But I think going off of that, I'm already such an anxious person. So sitting through something intentionally that would probably add to that feeling is just not the move for me. It's probably the worst thing I could do for myself, if I'm being honest. And I think the other side to this, obviously, scary movies are just one part of Halloween, but the other side of this is a lot of haunted houses or mazes or themed theme park events. And I'll start by saying that I genuinely, so badly, more than the movie thing, I genuinely wish I could go through with going to one of these things, because I don't think I can do it. Like, I think I'll probably just start to panic or want to hide from all of the moving things and probably stay in like a gift shop or in a restaurant where they're kind of like out of bounds from scaring people. Because for me, I just get so nervous at the thought of being in that. Like, right now specifically, I've been seeing all of these TikToks of people going to Universal Studios Horror Nights, and it just looks like such a fun time, but it also just looks so incredibly terrifying. Like, every single time I see one of those POV videos of people running through the park when the gates open, it's a mixed bag for me. Like, it's a huge mix of feelings. I get both relieved that I'm sitting from the comfort of my own bed and the safety of my own bed, just watching this and enjoying. But then it's also like, I imagine some way probably fun if you're into that thing, but it couldn't be me. I wish it could be, but it could not be. So following that, I'll say the closest I've ever gone to going into a haunted house, I think, was probably like 10 years ago. I volunteered to work in one when I was in high school, and that was it for me. That was really enough. I was pretty much stationed at the very end of this haunted house, and I was dressed up like a monster. So I was kind of like one of the last spooks, if you will, when you're going through this haunted house. I was like at the very exit, so I was like, pretty much I didn't have to deal with the whole bustle of being in the middle and hearing other people screaming and people hopping out and shouting and all this stuff. But they did make me walk through the haunted house twice to get the idea of what it was and like why I was standing where I was and whatnot. But it was like, even doing that, I was just uneasy. And they gave me a flashlight so I could do it. One of my coworkers walked through it with me to show me, and I was just still uneasy. Like, I can't, when I say these things are not for me, I mean it literally from the bottom of my heart. I cannot do it. Call me weak if you want. I will fully take ownership for that because I just can't do it. So that was probably the closest I've ever gone to like going through a haunted house, if you will. And I remember at the end, because obviously that's where I'm standing, and it was like the end of one of the days that I was working there. There was a family that had gone through and then they'd come out the other end. So now I'm just standing there kind of like, boo, okay, like, that's it. Me scaring people, by the way. Boo, that's it. Have fun. Have a great rest of your day. I couldn't really get into the role of being like a monster. I couldn't do it. It just felt uncomfortable. So I saw this family had come out, and the little girl that was with the family was crying, and I felt so bad, and I honestly forgot that I was dressed up like a monster of sorts. So I tried to cheer her up, and I like crouched over to be like, hey, what's wrong? And instead I made it way worse because I literally forgot that I looked terrifying, and she was probably crying from seeing other monsters in the haunted house that looked just like me. So that was the start and end of my haunted house era, if you will. I probably won't ever do that again, but I mean, for the memories, the one time was enough. I'll say that one time in itself was enough. The next thing, though, that I really love about the season that is not necessarily Halloween, could kind of tie into it, I guess, is the whole theme of candies and sweets. I love anything sweet. And so the whole like lineup of baked goods that hit the shelves of every cafe or coffee shop are just so good. I personally like pumpkin, so I feel like all of this is great for me, and I love apple, so I love that. But I know it's not for everyone. I know that. I know pumpkin is a very acquired thing, so that's fair. But I feel like there's also a lot of cinnamon, and then like I said, there's a lot of apple, and there's probably other things I'm forgetting, like, I don't know, caramel or something. So I feel like there's something there for everyone. And it's just elite. Like, it's so good. So there's just never a bad time to treat yourself. So whenever you're listening to this, by the way, and regardless of whatever you like, it doesn't have to be like a pumpkin thing, go get yourself a treat, because there's most likely going to be something you like at a bakery or a cafe. So yeah, go treat yourself because I just want that to be so known. Like, I love going to cafes during the fall. It is just so nice. I love going during any time of the year. I love cafes, but during the fall when it's just a little cold outside and it's kind of gloomy, it's just the best thing ever. I don't know. It's so good. And then the last thing I'll get into is just the list of things in general that make me happy, but more so during the season. So the first thing is going on walks. Like, it's not annoyingly hot or annoyingly cold. It's just always nice. I feel like everyone's in a good mood. And it's always so beautiful outside because it's just so much more colorful. It's also literally the perfect weather to walk around with like a tea or a coffee because, again, it's not super hot, so you're not going to die doing that. If you try that in the summer, I don't know, good luck, but I could not. So it's not totally the best thing to do during the summer, but during the fall, it's great, which leads into the next thing, which I already kind of said, which is visiting cafes. I won't really repeat myself again, but yeah, again, elite, just go do it. Go. It's unmatched. It's such a good choice. And above all else, my favorite thing this time of year is reading and visiting bookshops. Oh my God. Especially if you go get something hot to drink and then you go to a bookshop. I don't know what it is, but visiting bookshops during this season is so much better than any other time of year. And I feel like there's always a surge of new books releasing. There's always cute decor up in stores. And since most people are back to school and whatnot, it's never super busy, unlike during the summer. So it's just generally a more peaceful and chill experience, which I really, really love. And then sitting down to read, especially outside, is so nice because it's kind of colder. And I hate to be that person, but it's just, again, it's a cozy season. Like, it's just so comfortable. I don't know why. And I don't like saying that word specifically, like cozy, but it is. And it's genuinely just the best. So if you're looking for a way to relax, go grab a tea, grab a treat of some sort, get a book you really like, and just sit down to enjoy it all. It's such a nice, peaceful activity, and it's so unmatched. So yeah, that's really it. There's so much about the season to enjoy, and this episode by no means sums that up, and it does not at all cover even half of a list. So if you have something you really love about the season and I didn't mention it in this episode, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram at the Trying Times Podcast. I hope to hear from you soon and hear what your favorite part of the season is. So yeah, thanks so much again for listening, and we'll chat again soon, okay? Bye.